When it comes to bebop improvisation, and this is really, I think, more than anything, getting started, right? A really great way to get started to make sure that your lines are sounding good is basically to land not just the 1, but the 1, 3, 5, or 7. So those are the chord tones, right? When we say chord tones, we usually mean 1, 3, 5, and 7. Landing those on strong beats. And so the strong beats are, in this case, we consider them beats 1 and 3 in 4/4, right? In 4/4 time, those are beats 1 and 3. And I think the important thing is, it doesn't necessarily mean we should think of this as a rule that must always be followed for the rest of our musical learning and career, but more that it's a rule that we should follow when we're learning how to formulate good lines with good landings. Because when you do look at bebop lines, you can end up getting a lot of just really beautiful landings built around these chord tones. So a lot of the patterns that you're going to hear Charlie Parker, Bud Powell, Dizzy Gillespie, and then pretty much every musician from there on play are going to be these little patterns, the enclosure being around a chord tone. So let's look at D minor. I'm playing the 3 notes around the 3rd, which is the flat 3rd in this case, F. And then there are all these different options. So this would be an approach note pattern. And then so there I did an enclosure onto the 3. And then I did approach notes down to the flat 7. And so landing the chord tones on beats 1 and 3 is essentially like a formula for teaching your brain how and where to use these patterns and what to land on. And once you start to hear them naturally, you can start departing from that and you'll understand better. But a great way to practice it is literally just to take one single, basically mathematical formula, one little pattern, and do it around every chord tone as opposed to just one. So I'm going to use the 3 notes to enclose the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm landing on beat 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2. Let's see, on the 5. So I'm doing every single one. 3, 4. So I just did every single chord tone of the D minor 7 using that same exact pattern. And then once you kind of master a pattern, you can combine it with others. And of course, I didn't do a chord tone every single time there, but so many of my 1 and 3 landings were using these exact little 4-note patterns to land on chord tones. And so that's also the benefit of, working on these licks, is that you're actually going to be able to start to hopefully recognize the use of those patterns, recognize how they're landing, and be like, oh, there's a new one. I haven't heard that before. Let me try combining that with a pattern that I already know. But at the end of the day, I think of it more than anything as doing my spinning here because these cables. I think of it more than anything as like a framework for learning approach notes and enclosure patterns, right? So that's like our learning framework, landing them on beats 1 and 3, using these 4-note patterns to hit those essential chord tones of a chord. And then of course we can end up landing on extensions too, and that can sound really nice. There's actually in the free resources library, which is neojazzacademy.com/free, for anyone who's not signed up yet, or if you are signed up, you can always just log in at neojazzacademy.com/member. In there's actually a free approach note and enclosures PDF, and it's got a bunch of altered approach note and enclosure patterns, and those you'll notice are actually starting on some of the altered extension tones, and those sound really, really good. Those are really, really important to know for jazz vocabulary in general. So
Great stuff, Noah. Thanks again for that. And
Yeah, of course.
just to give another little quick add-on to that, music is all about setting up expectations and then subverting them, right? Tension and release. And so Noah is demonstrating a very sophisticated way of doing that, where I'll do a very simplistic version of it. So I'm going to play a 3-5-7-9 right on beat 1, a 3-5-7-9 right on beat 1, and I'm going to delay the 3-5-7-9 a little bit on the C chord. And we'll hear, even thinking about it that, rudimentarily, we're going to get some interesting expectation, and then something new. Right? The same thing in the blues, really, where you have two lines, or two sets of lyrics for the first 4 bars, second 4 bars, same lyrics. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit and he ain't no friend of mine. The third line is the surprise. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to do 2 exactly the same techniques, and then 1 subverted. Right? So theme, variation, right? And still using that 3-5-7-9, but with a little enclosure to E and delaying it. Yeah. So the expectation that you set up, you have to, this is something I always tell my students, you have to set up the expectation by playing the same thing at least twice to then subvert that expectation. So this is a great example of this in this lick, is expectations and then surprises.
Hey, Noah here. Just want to let you know really quick that most of the content you're actually seeing on this channel is coming from completely free masterclasses that we've been holding. So if you actually want to join and be a part of those masterclasses, again, it's totally free. Click one of the links in the description that will give you access to free resources, free courses, and of course the free masterclasses. And as soon as you're on the email list, you will be one of the first people to know when we are holding these masterclasses. And on top of that, you get lots of free sheet music and videos and resources as well. So highly recommend you sign up. You can also join our free online community, which is in Discord, in a server there. So you can click the link down there for that as well. And we are on there interacting, hanging out, giving people feedback and advice, as well as on the free masterclasses, Zoom hangs, and feedback sessions. So again, highly recommend you get signed up, and I will see you there.